All right, how's it going? My name is Elias Serda. I'm a chef here in Austin, Texas, and you guys are here to joining me on a little trip through some of my culinary adventures. So yeah, here we go. We're going to start off with a gazpacho salad that's been inspired by these salads that come from Morelia, Michoacan. So usually it's just a fruit salad. They also call it pico de gallo. And their version is odd in a way because they use onions. I'm not going to be doing onions. It's a little too much for me, but this is a really simple recipe. So first things first, you're going to need some fruit. Today I have cantaloupe, honeydew, pineapple, watermelon, and some orange supremes. And then I'm also going to be topping with some radishes. Orange juice, queso cotija, and tajin that you can find in H-E-B anywhere. Okay, so we'll start with the salad. So it's just a mix of everything, very, very simple. And depending on portion size, it's up to you, however you're going to eat. I'm just be a normal portion size I would use for one person. And that we're just going to mix. Very, very easy salad here. All right, that. And all I'm going to do is take some orange juice that I juiced earlier. Some orange juice, and then we're going to let's do the radishes. So the radishes I've just shaved very, very thin, as you can see. And then I put them in ice cold water so they crisp up. And that also gets rid of some of the acidity in there. So we'll just garnish the top with some radishes. And then we're going to add some of our cotija cheese. Right. And then finally, tajin. And the reason I like this because it's very simple and it's beautiful and it tastes delicious. So yeah, you got that, and then I got some nice flowers from an urban farm called Hosbar Farms on the east side. And we'll just peel off some of these nice purple flowers and sprinkle it over the top, like so.
Elias, can you tell us what tajin is?
So tajin, it's just a spice mix. It's a dry spice mix. Very, very popular in Latino America. There's many different brands. This one's very popular here in the States, tajin. But it's just a seasoning, usually used to top fruit, vegetables, really anything and everything that you want, micheladas, anything like that. So yeah, there you go. There's your gazpacho. Very simple, delicious. All right, so up next, we're going to do something very popular to Mexico. It's a Mexican-style street corn. Obviously, we're not in the street and we're not doing it, from the streets, but this is a way you can do it at home. So I have 2 ears of corn. I just took off the top here. We're going to be cooking these in a pan. So I just cut them in half so they fit, and then we leave the husks on because we're going to cook them so they steam within the husks before we peel them, and then get some color on them, hit them again in the pan. So yeah, just cut them into this size so they can all fit in the pan. And then you're also going to need butter, mayonnaise. This mayonnaise I made today using some QP mayo. And then I added roasted garlic and chipotle and adobo to this and blended it together just to add a little pizzazz to it. And then paprika we're going to need, and then some cotija cheese again, which you're going to see more and more. Mexican style street corn. So here I have a pan, stainless steel pan, putting the heat maybe around medium low. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to steam the kernels of corn before we sear them, just to cook them a little bit beforehand. So these will just go straight into the pan. I have a tiny little bit of oil in there. And I'm just going to cook them for about maybe 3 minutes on each side. As you can see here, you're getting a little bit of color on here. That's what you want, you know it's cooking. So again, I have it on a medium low, and just cooking it on each side. So I'm using maybe 4 sides here, and about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. All right, so up next, we're going to be pan searing some steaks. Here I have some nice New York strips that I bought at Whole Foods. Not really much to know other than, you know, whatever steak you want to cook. This New York strip is fairly on the leaner side. So I'm going to be accompanying it with a chimichurri sauce, which is very nice, rich and fatty, to add some richness to the steak. So with steak, very simple. The main thing is I like to leave the steaks out for at least 30 minutes to an hour before cooking them, just so they get to room temp. This is going to help the cooking time. It's going to help cook more evenly, and it's just a smarter way of doing things. So I'm just going to season these with salt. And some freshly cracked pepper. And I'm going to pat it down so it sticks, and then we're going to do the same to the other side. So salt, and then if you notice, I'm salting from high up. So what this does is allows the salt to spread evenly over the steak. I also had a chef that told me that he seasoned from the heavens as if God himself were seasoning, which is another way to do it. So same thing with the pepper. I'm a little high, and it's up to you. I like to put a good of seasoning on it because the steak is very thick. It's only really going to season the outside, so the more you put, the more it's going to season the steak, and the salt and the pepper is going to add a nice crust to the outside. Okay, so now that that's seasoned, we'll move on to cooking. Okay. All right, so searing in a cast iron, in a saute pan, stainless steel. I've added a little bit of canola oil to this. I like using canola oil to sear steaks because it has a very high smoke point and a very light flavor. You don't want to use extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is usually just used for finishing and salad dressings. If you put it in a pan, it's usually going to burn really, really quick. So I recommend not using extra virgin olive oil for this. All right, so I added maybe about a tablespoon of oil, canola oil, to this, and I'm going to turn it up to medium high to high. So the idea is that you want to add your steak to a super hot pan and get a nice sear on the outside. And then you'll flip it on the other side and do the same. And then you'll turn it down and let it cook slowly to get the desired temperature. I usually go for medium rare. So when I know to start is when the oil starts to smoke, is when I want to go in. That's when it's going to be the hottest. All right, so I don't know if you can see, but the pan is starting to smoke here, so that's telling me that it's time to put my steak in. So with the steak like this, and it has a fat cap on here, I usually like to sear the fat cap. This is going to allow it easier to eat once it's done. Also, it's going to render some of the fat, adding some more flavor to the steak. So high heat, don't be scared to get the oil smoking. Once the steak hits the pan, it's going to cool the pan down. And again, here I'm looking for golden brown color. And as you can see with the high heat, it's gotten there within a matter of seconds, right? So now that that's where I want it, we're going to go on one side. High heat again. And so the rule of thumb with the steaks is that you don't want to move them, you don't want to flip them too much. Ideally, you want to cook them, only flip it once. That's one way of doing it, or you can flip it several times throughout the process, depending on desired temperature. With the steak this thick, I probably go about 5 to 8 minutes on each side. Okay, so as our steak is cooking, I'm going to make a simple chimichurri sauce. So chimichurri is salsa verde, just green salsa, right? So this one's very strong in garlic, onions, and oregano. So here I have some picked cilantro, parsley, and some fresh mint to add a little bit of, just do something different, really. So we're going to add some cilantro. Parsley is going to be the main thing here. So my little food processor. And then some fresh mints. Mint. And then I also have fresh red onion, garlic, crushed red pepper, flakes, and dried oregano. It's all going to go into the food processor. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit of rice vinegar. You can add apple cider vinegar, red wine vinegar. I like rice vinegar because it has a little bit more sweetness to it. To this, I'm also going to add some salt. I'm going to add fresh ground pepper. And then some really good extra virgin olive oil. And you want to be very generous with the oil. And then we'll just process it. So I'm going to add a little bit more oil. And I'm just adjusting as I go. All right. And we'll just give it a taste for seasoning. A little bit more salt. Vinegar. And some more pepper. One more thing I forgot, lemon juice for a little bit more acidity. Just make sure there's no seeds. Oops. And there's your classic chimichurri. Basically, I've been cooking, after I've gotten the nice golden brown color on each side on very high heat, I've turned the pan down to a medium low, and I've cooked it on each side for about 5 to 8 minutes. The best way to tell the doneness is to use a thermometer. It's the smartest way. There's really no room for error there. The second thing is by touch. You can also take a cake tester and stick it in the middle, pull it out and put it up to your lip here. And if it burns you, that means it's too hot, meaning it's probably well done. If it's still cool, room temperature, you're probably at a medium rare. The other way to tell is just through experience. For me, I can just know just by the sound, just by the feel of it. So now that the steak is where I want it, you're going to want to let it rest for about half the cooking time. So it cooked for about 15 minutes. So I'm going to let it rest for about 5 to 8 minutes. So I'm just going to set that aside. And as that's setting aside, I'm going to start on our dessert for today. So this is a dessert just using plantains, sweetened condensed milk, fresh strawberries, Mexican crema, and sesame seeds. Very, very simple, very hearty, yet delicious. To do that, I have a pot here with some canola oil that I have at about 350 degrees. And then we're just going to drop these plantains that I've just cut. These are the ripe plantains. So I've just cut into little pieces, any shape, however you like. That's really up to you. And then I'm going to drop them into the oil. And these are going to get fried until they're golden brown. You hear me say that a lot, golden brown. That's the desired color you want on most foods. But what it is the caramelization of the sugars, which is adding more flavor to whatever that you're cooking. So these have cooked fairly quick. I have some towels here, paper towels to get off the excess oil. Okay, my oil was a little hot. A little too hot there. But what you're looking for is that nice deep golden brown color. Okay, so very simple preparation. The plating is really any way you want to do it. So I'm going to start with the plantains at the bottom of the bowl. I cut them like this so I can stand them up and do different shapes to add some nice height and visual to the plating here. So we'll do something like that. And then we're going to add some sweetened condensed milk. You can buy it at any major grocery stores. And with that, we're just going to drizzle it over the top of the plantains. Like so. And then we're going to add some freshly sliced strawberries to this. Right, and then I have the Mexican cream. And I have some Mexican sour cream that's a lot more rich and fatty than your regular sour cream. And so with that, I'm going to add some of that over the top, like so. Okay, and then here my favorite again, cotija cheese. And then I have some toasted sesame seeds here. It goes over the top, just like that. And just to make it a lot prettier, I have some sunflowers. Put over the top. And what else do I have here? I got some dianthesis flowers here. Nice, beautiful purple flowers. These are all edible. And I get these from Hosbar Farms on the east side, Govaya and Springdale. And there you go. That's your plantains with sweetened condensed milk and fresh strawberries. All right, so now onto the steak. Steak's been resting for about half the cooking time. So now the slicing. Slicing you want to cut against the grain. What that means exactly is against the grain. So if you see lines going this way, you want to cut this way, right? So against the grain, anything that's perpendicular of a cut to whatever the lines are showing on your steak. With this cut, usually the grain's going this way, so I'm going to slice this way. And with the slicing, you just your desired thickness. I like to go maybe a 1/4 of an inch thick. And this is where the nice presentation comes in. The steak is everybody's always in awe by a steak, so whenever you can master the steak, you're going to be the life of the party. So what I like to do, present it this way.
A beautiful fan.
Like so. Put that guy in there. And where you're at home, don't ever let any of this juice here go. This is nice steak juice. So what I like to do is take my knife and pour it back onto the steak. Just going to add some more flavor. All right. Just clean my plate here. Okay, and what I'm going to do next is hit it with some nice Malden sea salts. This is just going to enhance the flavor of the steak. So again, I'm seasoning from up high. Nice even spread of salt over the top. And then I'm going to take our chimichurri sauce that we made earlier and drizzle it all over the top of this steak. Nice, vibrant, beautiful color. Nice, rich sauce to go in the steak. Right, and then I got some more flowers here. And these are called Turk's caps. You can find them anywhere around town. And like I said, they are edible. Nice, beautiful red color. So I'm just going to add some nice Turk's cap petals to this. And some more sunflowers, just for some nice color. All right, and there you have it. Here's your New York strip with chimichurri sauce. All right, so something to wash all this delicious food down with is one of my favorite drinks, michelada. Very, very simple, yet delicious, savory, acidic, everything that I like. So we're gonna make a really simple one. I like to use this Bloody Mary mix called Zing Zang. Most bars in town use this mix. It's probably what you're gonna find mostly here in Austin. I love this stuff, it's so good. So start with ice in a glass, and I usually start with the tomato mix first. And I usually go about a quarter of the glass. And you can add less or more depending on how much you like the mix. Then Worcestershire sauce, or Chestershire sauce, however you say it, steak sauce. So we'll add about a teaspoon of that. And then I have some hot sauce here that I'm going to add. Most people like Tabasco, but I like this San Luis. It's only $1 at H-E-B. So depending on how spicy you want it, I'm just gonna add a little bit. And then your beer. Today we're using Corona. Right? And your beer is just going to go straight in. I always like to pour at an angle. Just like that. And then we'll just give it a nice stir. And then to finish off, we're going to add some lime juice here. Right. Make a nice little garnish. Two limes there. And there's your michelada. Also, I like to do virgin micheladas, and instead of using beer, replace it with Topo Chico. Exact same amount, recipe and everything, just replace it with the soda water, or Topo Chico is my preference. And there you go, virgin micheladas, alcoholic micheladas. Okay, so I'm going to share a special food memory of mine, and somewhat of gave me inspiration to become the chef that I am today. Growing up in South Texas, we grew up on Tex-Mex. I wanted to learn more about my family history and my roots, so I studied more of interior Mexican cuisine, and I learned that it was completely different from Tex-Mex. Growing up in South Texas, you pretty much eat the same thing every weekend. Steak, potato, basically fajitas, tortillas, flour tortillas, guacamole, pico de gallo. To me, that got very, very boring, and so as I was deciding to become a chef, I devoted myself to learn as much as I could about different cuisines, to bring to my family something different, something culturally different, something that's different flavors, just to spice things up a little bit. So that's part of what this menu is. It's just a little bit of where I've been and what I've been through. I was fortunate enough to work for Jose Andres, who's a Spanish chef from, oh God, where is he from? I don't remember. Anyways, fortunate to work for him. He's most famous for bringing the Spanish tapas concept from Spain and popularizing it here in the United States. He's got about 32 restaurants now, but he's slowly moving out of the kitchen, and he's working on relief efforts with his World Central Kitchen, which is a nonprofit organization where they basically create meals for less fortunate and to help relief efforts during hurricanes, tornadoes, any kind of natural disasters. He was there to feed Puerto Rico during their hurricane. He was there to feed the borders, right, down south. Now he's in California helping with the feed families who are less fortunate and are being affected by the fires in California right now. And one of my favorite quotes from him is, why build taller walls and why not build longer tables, right? So why not feed more people instead of oppressing people? Bring people together, feed everybody with good food. So this is part of what I'm doing here. Our Lady of Guadalupe has been a big part of my life ever since I can remember. Growing up in the Catholic Church, it's just she was always a symbol of empowerment. My mother, my grandmothers, all my aunts, they all looked to her for support. So with me, it's the same thing. I look at her as, as an empowerment to not only women, but to all of mankind. Someone who's about empathy and treating others with respect. And so this is all part of that. I'm here to share my experiences, share my flavors, my ideas with you, and I hope you all enjoy it.